Hey, you guys, it's Lula. Are you feeling this energy? Oh my gosh. It's like really, really late Tuesday night. It's almost Wednesday. Samhain is very near. And I've just been like, this new moon in Scorpio energy right now is just super hyper intense for me. And, you know, I'm starting to feel like part of what's happening right now is, I think I've been saying this for a while, like, everything has to get worse before it gets better. But I think what's happening is it's like the chicken and the egg right now. Like, I can't tell if it's because people are talking about things so much that things are actually happening, or if it's that people are sensing that an energy is about to take place. And so, you know what I mean? It's like, it's all in one and the same. And what I mean is, like, Mercury is about to go in retrograde, and I noticed on social media, I feel like social media is just like this amazing experiment, really, when you think about it. It's pretty fascinating. But I noticed that, like, so many, because most of the people I follow are in my field, or or they're creatives of some type. But the ones that are in my field, I'm seeing all these things about, Mercury retrograde and the new moon and the Scorpio energy, and talking about, relationships, and, how this kind of energy is like an upheaval energy. It's kind of going into the guts of everything, which makes sense because, it's like Samhain. It's like, those who celebrate like I do, it's our new year, basically. It's like, it's the end of, one cycle, and we're actually in the middle of the fall equinox and winter solstice, but it's still kind of like this, almost like, well, actually, we're not really in the middle. But interesting that I just got the words from Spirit, like a deformed energy. Ooh, and my candle just went like that when I said that. How funny. But I know for myself, I don't know, I hit a wall today. Like, something happened. Edward and I had a disagreement about something, and it just, like, well, it was kind of like one thing on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, that it was just like building. And then we went to the grocery store, and there's this place that we go to, I talk about, called Grocery Outlet. Sometimes it's really fun to shop there, but sometimes we shop there out of necessity. And this time it's out of necessity, because I'm going off the grid, and Ed has been sick and he hasn't really been working. And so, we were trying to figure out like our budget and like what we needed, and like what, what's going on, and bills and rent and stuff like that. And I realized, like, I'm so friendly with people that they feel like they can, like, say certain things to me, or I have certain relationships with people that, everyone knows I'm pretty understanding and open and loving and accepting. But sometimes I feel like things are said where I'm like, did you think about that before that came out of your mouth? And so, example, today we're at Grocery Outlet, and we were going through, I was like, okay, here's our budget. This is what we have. We were trying to figure out what food we still had at home. And long story short, he had gotten these sausages, and I actually was the one that told him to grab them. And then we went down this other aisle, and he wanted this other thing. And I said, wait a second. I go, oh, we still have some sausage at home, don't you? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, you know what? Then why don't you trade that out? I'm like, get that instead of that. And he was like, oh, yeah. So we were getting ready to go check out, and I said, you know what? I have to go to the bathroom first. I said, can you just go take care of it, and I'll meet you there? And he's like, yeah. So I go to the bathroom. He's checking out, and I see him standing there with two men. One guy was obviously new. He was training. He looked like he was around our age. Miserable. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere in the world but there. He looked like he had to get a job, or like something. You know what I mean? Like, I just know, because we've been going to that store for 2 years, and like, we know the same, because we go like once a week. So we kind of know the people that work there, And also, I knew the guy that was training him. I've talked to him before. So, I could tell he was training. But I'm just that person that's like, I observe things really, really, really quickly. Like I can sum up a situation so fast. It's almost unnerving sometimes, I think, for some people. But anyway, so I come up and I was like, oh, what's going on? And he was doing something and they were discussing something. And then he goes, why'd you make him put the sausage back? And I looked at him and I said, what do you mean? And I'm standing there and I'm like, there's these three, my partner is standing there with these two men. And I'm like, what the fuck were these guys just talking about? So it was just a weird, odd energy all the way around. And the guy who I've talked to before, he's super cool. Like it almost seemed like out of character for him. Like it was weird. And I'm watching True Blood right now. I'm on season 2 where like everybody's all crazy, because that God is like trying, is like forcing people to, he's kind of turn them into demons that'll like do his bidding kind of thing, and or her bidding, their bidding. But like it was, I feel like there's like that kind of energy going around right now. Like, I feel like there's like something going on where like people are just really irritable. It's like everywhere. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't explain it. There was just a weird energy. And I told Ed that this morning. I go, there's a weird energy out there. I'm like, I almost don't even want to go shopping. But we had to get some things. And so anyway, getting back to the guy. So I looked at him and I was trying to be lighthearted about it. But there was a part of me that was kind of like, why is this any of your business? Like, it was just weird. So I said, well, I go, and I found myself explaining it. And I was like, well, I told him to put the sausages back because I'm like, we have food at the house. And I go, and he just reminded me that he has meat in the freezer. So I'm like, we're just trying to like, save money. He doesn't need that right now. He can get them next week. He can, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, gosh, man, just let the dude get his sausage or something. And I was like, I almost didn't even know how to react because I wanted to be like my loving side was kind of like, this is silly. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I wanted to just like knock it off and like, brush it off, whatever, and not be like, whatever. But I couldn't. I was like, the other part of me was like, fuck you. Like, it's none of your fucking business. So I was like, okay, well, if you're going to be weird and like oddly shame me, I said, well, you know what? I go, sometimes we shop at grocery outlet because it's kind of fun to see what you guys have. I go, other times it's out of necessity. And I said, and you know what? Sometimes a $3 sausage is a $3 sausage and we could put the $3 to gas or something else or to a bill. I'm like, just in case you needed to know. And he was like, oh, what? And he was like, and he got kind of like flushed or whatever. And he seemed like kind of irritated and he like took off. And I was like, so you're allowed to like be weird and like make me feel uncomfortable, and I realized I was like, what it really, drudged up in me was like, when my parents got divorced, my dad like withheld, he just withheld a lot from my mom and I. Like he was punishing my mom for leaving him. So this is before they like put laws in place that like he had to pay child support and all that. So, there were many times where like it was really, like my mom would like send me to eat at someone's house basically because we didn't have money for food. I mean, we always pretty much had food, but there were a few times that it was slim pickings, So, I know what it's like I moved out on my own when I was 19 and I know what it's like to pay for food with change from my piggy bank, Oh, that's interesting. My dad's been around a lot. I've been doing the angel cards or whatever. So, but yeah, it was just so weird. It just drudged up a lot of shit in me. And I just was like so upset. And then we were driving and I was like, I needed to go to Ross, or I wanted to go to Ross. I wanted to see if they had slippers because, it's been getting down to 20 degrees in here and it's really, really cold. And even with like 2 pairs of socks on, I'm like, I need slippers in here. And so, I'd like to get a nice pair of like, handmade ones that are like all organic fabric and all that, but we don't have that right now. So, again, it's like this, it's funny. It's like these money issues that are coming up. Like, it's just been really interesting. Just a lot of things have been coming up for me. And even now talking to you guys about it, I'm like realizing I'm having like a few kind of like breakthroughs. And so Ed lets me vent about it, you know, because I was like, is it me? I'm like, was that like totally inappropriate? He's like, no, that was weird. I'm like, I'm like, what did you say? Because then I'm like, well, what the fuck were you guys talking about? I'm like, what did you say? And he goes, I didn't say anything. And I'm like, you didn't say anything. He's like, no. I'm like, don't you think it's weird that he would just like randomly like say that? And, because the guy goes, oh no, because I think I said something like, what were you complaining about it or something? I was joking to Ed at first. And the guy's like, no, I saw you guys talking, and then I saw him put it back. And I was like, oh, aren't you fucking like Captain Obvious Observer, you know, like just weird, you know, like I'm like, why are you in my business? I almost wanted to call there and complain to the manager and be like, what the fuck was that? Like, you know, was he like food shaming me? Like, oh, thanks. Yeah. Hi. You know, I can't afford that right now. Or we don't want to put money into that right now. You know, whatever. I mean, I shouldn't have to explain myself to the fucking cashier. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, it was just weird. And I just started to realize, I'm like, this is what's happening like everywhere. And I'm having conversations with people, friends, family, whatever, where I'm just like, am I the only one? I'm like, is this on? And I feel like everybody's kind of like gone into this like really dark mode, and it's really muddy and drudgy and gross. And I just said to one of my sisters, I just got done. I just was texting with her and I said, I seriously can't fucking wait to go off the grid. I'm like, I need to get away from this. Now, mind you, I do think it's because it's the Scorpio and there's a lot going on with the energy and the Mercury in retrograde. And I only say it like this because I know it's happening. I'm just saying, like, I feel like a lot of energy is getting injected into our force fields, you know, like of, you know, the Chicken Little, like, oh my gosh, you know, batten down the hatches because fucking Mercury in retrograde is coming. It's like, I'm like, I just feel like collectively, energetically, like we're the problem. Like we're the ones that are causing this right now. We're the ones that are causing these problems, you know? So, just be mindful this week. Just be really mindful. I mean, Ed and I'm going to tell you something I'm not proud of, but Ed and I today, I mean, it got to a point where like, it went from me venting about it to we were getting to Ross and I'm like, oh, I'm finally calming down. Like I said to him, like, I'm just going to walk around the store for a minute and calm down. And as I was getting out of the car, he went to say something to me and it was so off-putting. And it's something that we've been like arguing about for a while. And I was like, I'm like, why would you throw gasoline on the fire? And I think in some weird way, he thought he was going to have some analogy with it to like make me feel better. And I'm like, what? I'm like, am I in crazy town? I just feel like I was in crazy town. And I looked at him and I go, that's called deflecting. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I gotta go. And I like went into the store and then like kids were screaming and it was just like, I was like, oh my God. And I just wanted to like escape. I wanted to evaporate. That was like the only word I could think of. I'm like, I just want to fucking evaporate right now. Like, I just don't want to be present. Like, I don't want to, you know, I was like, I wanted to be a shapeshifter and fly into a bird so I could just fly home. I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, I really I needed to like just flee that energy. So I started to realize, I'm like, there's something really oddly going on collectively right now. So just be really mindful. Oh, so what I was going to say. So I go to the store and I come out and I just looked at him. I'm like, why would you say, I'm like, I go, now I'm in a tailspin. I'm like, I feel, you know, even crazier than I felt before. And I said, why did you say that? Like, why did you start that? You know, I'm like, do you think you were helping? I was like, cause you weren't helping. And, before I knew it, we were fighting and like fuck yous were being slung at each other. We don't even talk to each other like that. Not anymore. So I was like, I don't know what's going on in the universe. I don't know what's happening, but I do know that, I can't deal with it. So I'm going to pull back a little bit. I wanted to do so much more. I'm really glad I'm going to be doing this, you know, live reading on Friday morning. But other than that, I'm like, I've never been so happy to like kind of, I need to go away. I'm like, because this time of year, my gifts are like through the motherfucking roof. I mean, I know that's like, sounds so crass, but it's true. It's like, I am wired. So I'm feeling everything on such a heightened level. It's like so intense right now. And I can only imagine what everybody else is feeling and what other empaths are feeling. So, you know, try and take it easy the rest of this week on Samhain, Halloween, you know, just try to back away from things when it's getting heated or you feel like it's about to like really get ugly between somebody. If you can, just take a few breaths, take the high road and walk away. Because when it gets too intense, it's just too intense. So, Yeah, that's my 2 cents. Oh, you know what? I'm going to try and keep this 15 minutes because I feel like this is supposed to be on Instagram. You hear what I'm saying? Be good to yourself and each other. Stay in your lane. Oh.